So the fourth and final criteria, again, that we see in folks that are able to raise themselves from a good franchise sales lead qualifier to someone that's great, is they're deliberate about what they say and how they move through that content. When you get somebody on the phone, the first thing that I see great salespeople do, and this is a part that they very rarely deviate from, they open with this line. Hey Brent, this is Phil from Kid Create Studio Franchise, just responding to your request for some franchise information. Do you have 5 minutes to talk about it? There's two very careful injections of words there. The first being your. I'm following up on your request. And what that does is that immediately tells me this is not a cold call. This is something that I wanted that I might get right now. And that breaks down that first barrier of who is this? Am I being cold called? The second word is 5 minutes or 2 words, I guess, 5 minutes. My second fear is, okay, yeah, I did want that information, but I got to be at my meeting in 30 minutes. I don't have all day for this guy or this gal. That 5 minutes lets them know and puts them at ease that we can get through this pretty quickly. I can get you what you need. So that's really, I think, an important line to begin with. From here, you quickly want to get the person talking about themselves. Again, even though you've taken down 2 barriers, they're still going to have questions, concerns, and do I really want to be having this conversation right now? The easiest way to break down that barrier, the easiest way to break the ice is to get someone talking about themselves. We all love talking about ourselves. It's just human nature. And so by getting them in that mode, they're very quickly going to start to shed any of those concerns they had. And that's a great way to do that. By getting them talking about themselves too, it also gives you 2 or 3 actually really good opportunities to get vital information you need. The first is the obvious part of, do they fit the traits that I'm looking for? And obviously they deviate for each brand that you work with. But you start to pull that out of them. The second part is, they'll start to give you the information on why they're looking at your brand. And if they don't, you should ask them during that stage. By having them repeat why they called you in the first place or requested the information, it's having them go through the process again of why they liked it, and it's going to open them up to be more receptive to the information that's coming later down in the line. And then I think finally, by going down that path of getting them talking about themselves, this is the big one that separates the good from the great. It starts here. Good franchise salespeople will do this. They'll say, hi, tell me about yourself. They'll let the person spiel. Then they'll have their pre-prepared 30 seconds or their 2-minute script or whatever it is in their head, and they'll start rattling it off. They'll let the person go, and then they'll have their script. And they're selling. And that doesn't work as well in this day and age. Now, a great person will be so studious with their brand. They will know every little bit about that brand. They'll know the latest opening. They'll know who the franchise owners are and their occupations. So when that person that they're talking to says something like, I don't know, I'm an engineer and I'm looking to get out of that and own a business. Well, that's great actually, because 2 of our franchise owners are engineers and they're doing fantastic. I'd love for you to talk to them in validation. And that opens up to a genuine conversation where you just kind of announced you sold something. You sold that the franchise owners are happy, and you sold that we take people like them. There's a million ways to go about that. But by asking that question and working in and knowing in your head the 100 different things that you can inject into that call to make it a fluid back and forth call really separates good from great. That's the big, big one. Now, if everything lines up, if they truly look like they're going to qualify, of course, now you move into the call to action. Now it's time to get that person to do what you want them to do. And in this case for us, it's fill out an application and commit to starting to a franchise education process. There's 2 really important things that great lead qualifiers in the franchise sales space do every time. The first part is they make sure that each lead understands the value that they will get by giving you their information to the level of what we need. Those applications are long and we ask for a lot of information to show that commitment to our process. You have to make sure they clearly understand what they get. And for each brand, it's somewhat similar, but it's different. And you need to make sure you articulate that very carefully. Once you fill out the application, you're going to get the franchise disclosure document, which is going to give you all the information on the franchise, detailed financial statements, whatever it is. Or if it's not that, if they get a unit economic step or whatever it is, you've got to make sure that they understand that's what they get. It's a give and take. That's part 1. Part 2 of a successful call to action is ensuring a time frame. Part 2 is really sales 101, right? Sales 101 is you never get off a call without really understanding what the next step is and when that next step is. So the great sales folks will always ask, great, I'm glad to hear you want to fill out the application and start the process. When do you think you can get that back? What that does is it gives you a specific day to follow up in your calendar and hold them to that. And that allows you a specific and a regimented process of follow-up too. It also allows them to understand that you're going to bug them and you're going to call again, so they may as well just get it back to you. But those 4 points and that whole process we just went through was to get to that one point of, this is the application, let's get you going into the process. Do those 4 things regularly, and I guarantee you those pipelines are going to continue to fill up. Good?